Okay, welcome. Thanks everybody for coming to the fall 2014 NuPIC Hackathon. Hope you like our Canadian theme. It's a fall theme, it's not a Canadian theme. My name is Matt Taylor. If you don't know me, I'm the flag bearer for the NuPIC community. So glad to see new and old faces in the crowd. First of all, I am recording things, so just to get that out of the way, there's a camera back there. I'll probably be walking around with it at some point. I'm not live streaming though, so I'll be editing all of these videos, and so if something crazy embarrassing happens, don't worry, I won't put it in. All of our sessions and the demos tomorrow will be recorded, but you might be on the tape. If you have a problem with that, come and talk to me, and I'll make sure that I record you all the time. Please share on social media if you take any photos or videos. That's perfectly fine. Use the NuPIC hack hashtag. And I'm kicking around the idea of maybe tomorrow, for those of you who are still around and have worked through the hackathon, maybe doing a few video testimonials. If you're interested in doing that, come and talk to me. Thank you to the staffers who have helped me out with this event. Obviously we have Mr. Jeff Hawkins, Subtai Ahmad, and then some other NuPIC engineers, Scott Purdy, Austin Marshall, myself, Chase Server. Did I miss anyone? I'm not sure. And then we have some support staff. Terry Fry is our office manager. She's extremely helpful in these events. Taylor Werfs is also helping out. She's on our Numenta staff. My wife, Trinity Taylor, is also helping out, so thank you, honey. Kyle Quackenbush is one of Taylor's friends who's also helping. And a big thank you to Pinger. Once again, this is their space. They gave it to us to use for the weekend. That's very nice of them. They pretty much gave us free reign to the whole space and just said, bye, I'm off to Swan, so be respectful. I would like to bring Jeff up just for a moment to say a couple of words to start off the hackathon, just because he's such an inspirational figure.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know. You know, how many of you were at the workshop? A lot of you, most of you, not all of you. So a lot of us just came off this workshop yesterday. It was a lot of work putting together, and I think it went off pretty well. We had somewhat of 100 people in the School of Cool Portland in Redwood City, and we had put these presentations together. So some of us kind of like wasted from that. Those are emotionally draining, mentally draining events. So maybe we got off to a slower start this morning than normal. But it was really kind of fun. It was cool. We had people from actually around the world showed up for that, which I couldn't believe. And it was kind of fun to sort of present the state of the art of our research and so on. And but I think, you know, I just want to thank you for being here. I think the hackathons are a really nice part of what we do. The whole NuPIC community actually is a really nice part of what we do. As you've heard me say many times, probably Matt said many times, everybody says many times. At Numenta, we don't view this as sort of our thing. We view this as like, hey, we're trying to build a movement, we're trying to get people to do this stuff, we're trying to get people interested in cortical models, show there's some progress we've made, make businesses on this, and just trying to get this whole movement going. And it's going. It's been very encouraging. We've had a lot of progress on both the theory side, the technology side, the business side, getting large companies and governments interested in this work, and people like yourselves. So, and Matt yesterday, you had this picture of the Homebrew Computer Club in his presentation yesterday. I feel a little bit like that every time I come here. I have no idea what the Homebrew Computer Club is really like, you know, but maybe the hackathon, the NuPIC hackathon is equivalent of that these days. So I really have nothing else further to say. We're going to be around here. Some of us are doing hacks. I don't like coding anymore. But we're going to have some discussions. I'll be here tomorrow afternoon as well, doing some sort of a Q&A session with a presentation. And that's it. Just want to thank you for being here. I have no great reason to depart this morning, before ever, actually. But I'm happy you're all here. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, sir. Okay, a bit of Hackathon Protocol. First of all, the place to go for details is numenta.org/hack. I'll have a TV in the back that's kind of displaying any announcements, or either that or the registered hacks, which I'll talk about in a minute. The code of conduct. Actually, let me just look through here so you can see it. No? Okay, never mind. We also have a code of conduct. It was posted down at the registration desk. There it goes. And so I can navigate to it from here as well. Or not. Okay. Whatever. So our code of conduct basically says you're not going to be offensive. You're not going to do anything that is aggressive or offensive to any group. So please don't. We definitely don't want that. There is a place for you to register your hack. That was what I was trying to get to, which is not currently loading. But if you go to numenta.org/hack, there's a link to hack registration. And it's just a Google form where you can put the name of your hack, any members that you have in your group. And I encourage you to try and break into groups. Your hacks are going to be easier if you break up into groups. And so you need to register your hack in order for me to get a good idea of how many demos we're going to have tomorrow. So I'm going to be reminding you of that, walking around if you're working on something, making sure that you have registered. I'll go over the schedule real quick, but it's also posted on that website. Make a few community announcements, and I should have removed that last bullet. So the schedule today is, as soon as this is over, if you are having problems getting NuPIC running on your computer, go into this conference room right here. It's called the Fishbowl, apparently. So go into the Fishbowl, and we'll have a couple of Numenta engineers in there to try and help you get NuPIC running. Who does not have NuPIC installed on their system right now? Maybe 10. Okay. So have you tried it and had problems? Okay, so maybe it's easy, maybe it's not. Let's meet up in the Fishbowl after this meeting if you want some help getting it installed. So we'll try and spend half an hour or so getting our engineers helping you. At 1 o'clock, Francisco Weber from Cortical.io will give us a presentation on the way to language intelligence about their developments with their products, which is very exciting stuff. At 2:30, Chetan Serper will talk about applications of HTML. If you're at the workshop, it's going to be basically the same presentation, but he'll have more time to go into more detail if you have questions. So if you're at the workshop, you may want to skip that. Tomorrow, Jeff is going to be back at 2 p.m. And if you remember at our last hackathon, we did kind of something, I called it a fireside chat with Jeff. And we just brought out a whiteboard and people huddled around, and Jeff talked about the new temporal memory features that we were trying to implement. So I want to do something similar to that. I don't think Jeff has anything groundbreaking new to talk about. We're trying to implement some of the stuff we talked about last time. But I liked the format of getting Jeff in front of a whiteboard with a bunch of geeks asking him questions. So we're going to force Jeff through that again. And at 4 o'clock tomorrow, we're going to start Hackathon demos. I don't know how long it's going to last. Last time it was probably 3 hours. So depending on how many demos we have, I may time limit you. And I'll get an indication of that based on how many hacks are registered. So if you have an idea for a hack, please register it as soon as you have your idea. You can go back and update it later. Then I'll get an idea of how strictly I have to time box people, because I don't want us to be here until 8 p.m. because the cleaning people are going to come and be mad. This map is somewhat up to date, but this is the upstairs of the building that we're in. I have some workstations set up upstairs. If you see any long tables with tablecloths and chairs set up to them, and there's power strips underneath, that's a great place to work. So there's some along the back wall, here, there's one over here right behind the presentation area. There are also, if you go downstairs, these are the emergency exits, but I have no confidence that the doors are unlocked. So you're on your own. Downstairs, we've got the main kitchen, which is hard to miss. And for the most part, Kathy at Pinger did a great job walking around and putting tags on things like, this room is okay to use, because the sign says okay to use. And there's others that say do not enter, so don't. So she's done that pretty much in all the spaces. If you see a workspace and it says okay to use, you can use that. If it looks like somebody lives there and there's a half-eaten bowl of oatmeal on the counter, which I found 2 of those today, don't work there. That's somebody's desk. Downstairs there are some workstations if you are a lone wolf type and you don't want to be elbow to elbow with anyone. There are some workstations that you might find that are just kind of one-off workstations. There's not a whole lot. There's maybe 4 or 5. So if you're that type of person, you should go claim it. Otherwise, you can work in any one of these rooms to say OK to use. You can just park and work wherever you like. I guess we're not going to get the projector back on. OK, so I'll just go through the rest of the protocol without slides. This facility, you can come and go as you please, but somebody has to be downstairs to let you back in. So there is a sign down there with phone numbers on it. If you find yourself outside and nobody's there to let you in, call one of the numbers. It's my cell phone number or Terry's cell phone number, and we'll make sure somebody lets you in within 45 minutes. You may sleep here if you like. You don't have to. You're under no obligation. I don't want to pressure anyone to work too hard. But I'll probably be here most of the night, and a few other people I know tend to stay overnight. I do have something weird's going on with everything right now. I do have some sleeping mats that we rented from REI, if you're a camper type. So, and there's a bunch of pillows through here, so you can just do what you can to make yourself comfortable if you find yourself very tired and you need sleep. Otherwise, feel free to go home or go to a hotel or whatever and come back. But remember, I think there is a 10 o'clock presentation tomorrow morning if you want to. No, 2 o'clock. That's Jeff's whiteboard session. Okay. Wi-Fi is on your badge. Hey. All right.
Also, guys, if your hack is using real-time connections, you might want to think about using your phone for the presentation because the local Wi-Fi sometimes.
It's better. It's much better. Yeah. So last time, if you were here, Wi-Fi sucked. They have since fixed that. So the guest network has full connectivity, and you don't have to steal from Gordon Birch down the street like we did last time. So if you do have problems with Wi-Fi, let me know. And I won't do anything. Well, let me know anyway so I can give finger feedback. But I would like to know. But they promised me Wi-Fi shouldn't be a problem this time. So we'll find out. OK. Remaining protocol, wear your badge around, please. I know it might get uncomfortable, but it helps me know what your name is. I want to try and learn people's names. We will sort of walk around and announce when food arrives. I think there's breakfast downstairs right now, which is like fruit and pastries and stuff. We'll have lunch today, we'll have dinner today. So just wander down. It seems like last time there was always food laying around in the kitchen if you're hungry. Try and pick up after yourselves, please. It makes my job a lot easier at the end of this hackathon. So if you see trash laying around and you see a trash basket like right there, just put it in. Yeah, please be respectful of each other. We haven't had any problems about respect. But, please read through the code of conduct. OK, so for Hackathon communication, we not only have an IRC channel. At this point, we also are using this tool called Gitter, which is like GitHub chat, which I found really nice. So I'm usually on it. I'm also on IRC, so I try not to miss out on anything. But there's a public room on Gitter that you can get to. You do have to authenticate with GitHub. So if you have a GitHub ID, you can get on Gitter pretty easily. And it's a nice chat. It's got really nice integration with GitHub. That's why I like it. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the mailing list. The mailing list is our resource. We can use it however we want. So email to NuPIC Discuss if you've got technical questions. And I'll be monitoring the list as well as I can. And maybe if you can't find an answer in the room, we can find an answer on the mailing list. And I'm sure there's a lot of people interested in what's going on at the Hackathon while they're at home. We do have a place where you can report bugs on Numenta.org. There's a report a bug link on the menu. So if you do find a bug, or you have problems doing something you think should be simple, just report it as a bug so that we can try and address it. Our hashtag is NuPICHack, like I mentioned. Let's try and use social media. If you use social media, please spread the word about the hackathon. Okay, I want to make a few quick announcements and I'll get out of your hair so you can get going. One of the things we've done recently is we created a new GitHub organization called NuPIC Community. This is not a Numenta initiative. This is a community initiative. This is something the community wanted. It wanted a place where we could collect NuPIC projects, and that's what this is. So it currently contains Fergal Burns' project Cortex, and David Ragazzi's project NuPIC Studio, and Jim Bridgewater's project NuPIC Vision, which was Susan's NuPIC project. I've thrown a couple things up there that I've been working on that are community initiatives. If you create a hack and you want to put your code up here, let me know. I'd be happy to collect it in this space. And there's other CLA projects on our wiki, and some of those might end up there as well. A couple other community projects that I would like to mention. There is a new NuPIC Studio project. If you've been looking at the mailing list, David Ragazzi has done this entirely by himself at this point. But it's not just a visualization tool, but it's kind of a way to construct hierarchies and share it among members of the community. Caveat is I haven't had any time to really look into this project. It looks cool, but David's really dedicated to it, and there's several community members that are actively involved in it now, testing it out and stuff. So you could do a hack based on this. Another community project is David Ray has done a complete Java port of spatial pooling and the new temporal memory algorithms. So I think this is cool, and he came to us and said, I just want to give this to you guys. So he's actively working on it. He's given the code to Numenta, so we've got it on our GitHub repo. It's called htm.java. It is not a client for NuPIC core. It is a complete port of the algorithms. So I've just kind of let him go. He's been running on this and working on it for a few months now, and he's doing a really great job. He's got a one-to-one correlation between his methods and functions and the Python version. So he tried to stick to the Python API, and he estimates that 98% of the Python tests in each module have the exact same output produced within the Java unit test. So that's pretty impressive. He's got the algorithms down to a T. So I'd like to thank David for that, and also, I mean, he's found bugs in NuPIC based on his doing porting. He's really getting down into that Python code and uncovering things. So thanks to David Ray for this Java port. Okay, so I want to get some answers from you guys. Who has ever been to a hackathon? Okay. Who's ever built NuPIC? I know we already did some of this stuff. Hands high, come on. Built NuPIC. Okay, so there's a few down. So you're the guys that need probably installation help, the ones that don't have your hands up. Have you ever run any of our example code? Okay, maybe half. Ever pass your own data from somewhere you got your data from or generated your data? Okay. I just like to do that. So if you need resources and you need help, go to numenta.org and go to the NuPIC wiki. But really the good place for technical help is the NuPIC wiki. If you have any ideas for improving this, let me know, and I will. But this kind of walk you through the steps of how to get productive with NuPIC. And now is the time to talk about ideas. So hack ideas. So there's one thing I know people are interested in doing EEG stuff. I've done some EEG, or tried to do some EEG stuff. We had a season of NuPIC project that several of us got together and tried to do EEG stuff. And we got to a certain point and we got blocked and we couldn't move any further. Who is interested in doing EEG parsing or EEG analysis with NuPIC? Hands high. There's 2, 3, 4 guys. So look around and spot these. Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up and look around. I want you guys to connect. If anybody is interested in this, this might be a good team to put together. Share some ideas because it's hard. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. The EEG data that we got for the Kaggle competition was anywhere from 16 to 64 fields of data at 5,000 hertz. So that was hard to parse. We have some knowledge here that we can share, and let's try and do that. There's also an idea, let's see if this breaks my machine again, if I click this. There's other ideas on this wiki page. One of them was creating some type of tool to I think it was for model parameter selection tool, and it's not going to work. So if you have an idea, you might want to go check that wiki page and add your idea to that. I have an idea. I would like to do a Minecraft hack. I don't know if anybody's interested in that. Has anybody created any Minecraft mods? So I have an idea. I want to take the geospatial encoder and I want to feed it XYZ coordinates from Minecraft for all of the moving entities in the game and get anomaly indications and display them in the game so that as I'm walking around, I can see where NuPIC thinks I'm going. So that's my idea. If anybody's interested in that, come talk to me. I'd like to invite any of you that have ideas right now to come up and say a couple things about them. We did this last time and it worked out pretty well. You want to come up? Yeah. Here you go.
Thanks. I'd like to try to build a kind of framework. And in fact, the framework, I have it drafted somehow. But I'd like to automate or to semi-automate at least the use of some of the NuPIC functions. So I want to use this in a kind of automated problem-solving algorithm. And I drafted this in Java, and I think I will have to use
The HTML.java project?
Yeah. But I'm quite new to NuPIC, so I would need that support.
Do you have a goal in mind or a problem you're trying to solve?
Yes, I'd like to select a few of the functions. I'd like to start with one of the samples you use to demonstrate this. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to take some of the functions of NuPIC from there. I'd like on top of them to put a sort of graph queries, and those graph queries I want to match them with the problem context you use in that sample. So basically it will automatically apply, it will rebuild the code of the sample, but basically automatically, semi-automatically.
Okay.
This could be later on enhanced for any other type of problem.
Interesting. Okay, anybody else? Thank you. What was your name again?
Stefan.
Stefan. Does anybody else have an idea they want to talk about? Or else I'm going to talk more about my Minecraft idea.
Thanks. Sure. Hey everyone, I'm Rian, and so there are two ideas that I'm really interested in exploring. The first is to be able to use HDM to either predict or detect anomalies in network structures. So by network structures, I'm referring to data structures in which nodes represent distinct elements and links or edges represent connections between networks. So just typical examples of networks: social networks, biological networks, protein networks, gene regulatory networks, citation networks. There are a lot of potential cool applications. And the other idea, I'm actually really interested in functional programming and Lisp stuff. So if anyone is doing any sort of Lisp or functional programming, I know we have Cortex, so I'd definitely be interested in talking to you at some point. Yeah, that's it.
Cool, thank you. Anybody else want to share an idea?
Hey guys, it's a very rough idea at this point, but the basics of it follow. Occasionally you analyze data that comes in repeated sequences. Say you analyze soccer matches, which is a set of sequences in time, but they're all kind of similar. And if you're analyzing a lot of them, it would make sense for you to use a lot of different machines at once. So I'm thinking about writing a way to use NuPIC in a distributed environment to kind of converge the learning into the same model, but be able to run multiple instances of NuPIC at once while working on the same problem.
Cool. Anybody else?
Hey guys, I run a group focused on the Apple Watch, and so I'm interested in thinking about what kinds of applications would be good for a wrist wearable. And so, as an example, you can get a user's heartbeat, or perhaps we can tie into some web API so we're giving them some kind of predictive data through that.
I think that's a good idea. There's a challenge on that I found when I was looking at EEG stuff. That there's a database where you can get all of this heart sound data. Actually, this is when I was doing audio analysis experiments. So there's a whole bunch of heart sounds like boom, 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 boom. That would be also interesting to try and analyze. Yeah, come on up. Is it Chandon? Yep.
What I'm interested in is not so much about anomaly, but to look at predictive patterns and to see what is the pattern within the predictive pattern. Right? So if 10 parameters are changing, and which of those 10 parameters are actually resulting in a predictive pattern. So to identify patterns within data, not so much interested in the anomalies, but just to understand why is the pattern happening.
Yeah. So that would be really interesting. You mentioned this on the mailing list, right? Someone did recently about at one point in time, how do you recognize what patterns are active?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why? What coefficients are?
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak up? Please.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm my colleague Mark. We are interested in a natural language processing problem. We're going to try to train a network with fingerprints that we're deriving from the WordNet semantic dictionary, and then use that to predict sequences of meaning and feed that into a sentence generator to generate grammatical but meaningful sentences after having trained it off of some text corpuses. So we've got some ideas on how to do it. We've made a little bit of a start on it, but hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll have sentences coming out that are based on meanings that the system has learned.
Are you familiar with what Protocol IO does?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We had a long talk last night about, and there's some differences in the approaches we're taking to generating the fingerprints, so it'll be interesting to see
Okay.
what comes out of that.
Nice. Anybody else? Jayden. I think we should probably wrap up after this, but please feel free to mingle, network, communicate, talk about what you think you want to do with people, and group up in some teams.
Hi everyone. So at Numenta we've been doing research on sensory motor inference and temporal pooling. It's still very early, but UI and I will be working on a application of that on robotics. So we have a robot that moves on it's an IR sensor that rotates on a platform, and the rotation can be programmatically controlled. So we'll set up like a world around it made of cardboard sheets at different distances and have it move around randomly, learn the sensory motor sequence, and have it put in different worlds and have it see if it can build a stable representation of a particular world and recognize which world it's in. So we'll be working on this.
What if the world were a network? Just a thought. All right, so I figured out I wasn't connected to Wi-Fi. So here's the hack page I was telling you about. This link is to hack registration. This is what you must do. I've already registered my hack last night before it was even available to you guys. But here's the form, so please fill this out when you are ready to get an idea. Sooner is better than later, or I'll just come around annoying you. And this was the other idea that David Ray had, the guy who did the Java port. A parameter optimizer. So if you give it an input vector size and column dimensions, it would give you some sane variable settings for the attributes of the spatial pooler, temporal memory, and stuff like that. So that would be a very useful hack for other members of the community if you're interested. David's trying to get us to do this for him. But there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. That's it, guys. It's time for you to go and get productive. And
actually, can I throw out one more?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
come on. Let me get you on audio.
Okay, so I took a workshop over the summer with a guy called David Cope, who does algorithmic music. And so one of the things that I found interesting is the idea that I was just thinking with this anomaly analysis, you could try to find surprise in music in a level of, like if you take a sequence, you can download a MIDI sequence algorithm for music, and then possibly go to find patterns within the music, and then go, oh, okay, well, here's a pattern at different time scales. So you go, oh, this is kind of like a repeat of a phrase, an earlier phrase. That'd be kind of an interesting application to analyze the style of music.
Yeah, that's another reason why we need to be able to extract what patterns we're currently in at some point in time, like what patterns are being recognized, which is what you were talking about too. Which is possible, it's just not easy.
Oh, it's not easy, yeah.
At the time being. But, yeah, that's cool. At our very first hackathon, probably, I don't know if you saw this, but a few guys came and took a MIDI file for pomp and circumstance and encoded it into scalar values and fed it through NuPIC a bunch of times and trained it to play back pomp and circumstance. So I think it took 23 repetitions before it got it perfectly. So that was an interesting hack. All right, break. Thanks for coming.